West Hill United is a progressive spiritual community where how you live is more important than what you believe. West Hill United is a people, a place, an idea. We are a community living out of a progressive faith, striving to make a positive difference in our own lives, the lives of others, and the world. Join us Sundays at 10:30 a.m. or connect with us at any time.
Hello, everybody. It's good to see you all. Thank you to those of you who waved and just said hello back. Once again, it's good to see you. And I'm curious, by show of hands, wherever you are in the world, who saw some snow this morning? I know that I did. And so when I got my coffee this morning, I was appreciative of the warmth of the drink. And as I was getting my coffee, I thought, here pretty soon, in about 45 minutes this morning, I thought I'm going to get to be joining with other people, and how much I was appreciative of that for this time together. I hope you feel the same. Whether you've been here, this is your first time or 1,000th time, I'm thankful that you're here this morning. Florence.
Thank you, Joe. Good morning, everyone. My name is Florence Soknacki, and I live in Scarborough, which is not far from where West Hill is located. While my Zoom background looks bright and sunny, hot topic of conversation today is it doesn't look like this anymore because we've had a little too early in the season snow. Anyway, we're glad that everybody made it today. It's great to see you. And I'm looking forward to hearing about connecting with ourselves today. I think this is one of the hardest tasks that we ever have to face. Back to where we're zooming from at West Hill. West Hill is located in Treaty 20 in the area of the Williams Treaties of 1923. These are the lands of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation and were previously occupied by the Seneca and Huron-Wendat First Nations. Please take a moment to look at the two-row banner, if you get a chance to see that in the hall, which is displayed and is purposely designed and chosen by our congregation because it's based on the two-row wampum treaty, which is a mutual treaty agreement made in 1613 between representatives of the 5 nations of the Haudenosaunee and representatives of the Dutch government in what is now upstate New York. It is one of the oldest treaty relationships between the Onwehonwe and the original people of the Turtle Island, North America, and European immigrants. The treaty acknowledges the agreement that the two nations will live side by side in a relationship of peace, friendship, respect, and non-interference for as long as the water flows downhill, the grass grows green, and the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. At the end of our readings, we customarily add the phrase, offered as wisdom for the journey, and we invite you to respond with the phrase, maybe walk in its light. This is simply an invitation to participate if you wish to do so. Life is about relationships. The relationships we have with ourselves, with others, with our communities, the earth, and life itself. Our experience of life is defined by the quality of these relationships. The path to being a better worker, partner, or parent begins by discovering and following our own truth first and foremost. When you're right with yourself, you're right with the world. This is why connection theory starts with connection to the self. That was written by Dr. Christine Klusman, a psychologist, researcher, and founder of the Connection Lab. The second reading from her. Across all contexts, the payoff of self-connection is the sense of feeling truly and exquisitely alive, fully engaged with the life you lead, and welcoming every moment. Your body sings, your mind soars, and you inhabit a world of the most profound and lasting satisfaction, offered as wisdom for the journey.
May we walk
in its light.
This morning, as I was thinking, actually this past week, as I was thinking about connecting to ourself, I kind of thought of how life is like a story. And here I have one of my journals, and so much I've written in my journal. I find it interesting that when I write in my journal, I will label it. I kind of break it up by the month. And so I will say for November, I'll say my story - November, or my story - October, whatever month it's in. We all want a good story, right? We all want a life that is well, that has satisfaction and joy in it. And I think for us to have that, we have to be connected to our overall life story, to ourself. And then, of course, to those who came before us, as we talked about last week, to others around us, the different chapters or different stories that are going on, the other books on the shelf, and then our world at large. We all want that story. And I find it interesting, and we'll dig a little bit more into this today, but the word author, it shares the same etymology with the word authentic. We're going to get a little bit into that. How do we have an authentic story that is truly ours? Now, this series, one of the things that has stood out to me, that's kind of led me to want to do this series, it's from a quote that I've shared before. I started out last week by sharing. And as I shared last week, Neil deGrasse Tyson was asked, what's the most astounding fact out of everything that he knows? I mean, he's an astrophysicist. He has studied the extremities of the universe, the vastness of it all. And so Neil, when asked, what's the most astounding fact? He goes and he talks about all these different things of how life has been formed, how stars have been made, and how they collapse, and then how those molecules, how they form different life and different planets, and ultimately here on Earth. And as he's talking about how everything has been made, he brings it back to people like you and I. And he says, so when I look up at the night sky, I feel connected. And I'm paraphrasing here. I feel connected. He says, you might feel small, but he says, I feel big because I'm in the universe and the universe is in me. I feel this sense of connection. And then he goes on, he says, and isn't that what you really want in life? To feel connected? And I'm adding this in, but the story that you're telling, to feel that the story that you're telling in your life, that's truly who you are, and that's connected to the other books on the shelf, that's connected to this larger story of our universe in somehow, some way. As Neil says, we want to feel like we are part of the going-ons of the universe. And then he says, and that's precisely what you are just by being alive. You're connected. But the truth is, we don't always feel that, right? Sometimes we do. Sometimes we feel like we're in a groove, that we're comfortable in our own skin. Yes, sometimes we don't. It's going to be back up on the screen, but I want to come back to this quote that Florence read. And this quote here, it says, life is about relationships. And I'm adding a little bit to this. About relationships, it's about the stories of ourselves, the stories of others. Life is about relationships, the relationships we have with ourselves, with others, with our communities, the earth, and even life itself, this whole big picture of things. And this is from Dr. Christine Klussman. She goes on, she says, our experience of life This is a big line here. Our experience of life is defined by the quality of these relationships. I invite you to think about your story right now, to think about the story that's met the story of so many others. Think about all those lives that you've come across. And I would say that you probably sense, that you feel in a certain way, that the quality of your life is about those relationships. I've heard it said so many times, when it's all said and done, what matters? The relationships. Dr. Christine Klussman goes on in this quote, and she says, the path to being a better worker, partner, or parent, it begins by discovering and following our own truth first and foremost. Remember, as I said, for us to write a story that we are in line with, well, we have to be the author of it. We have to be authentic to it. One of my good friends who actually spoke at West Hill years ago, his name is Dave Warnock. I actually heard him speak at a different place one time, and he said, as he was talking about writing the book that he had wrote, but also about his own life, his own story. And he basically said, if you want to really feel alive, at some point, you have to take the pen and be the author of your life. So as Christine Klussman says here again, the path to being a better worker, partner, or parent begins by discovering and following our own truth first and foremost. When you are right with yourself, I'm going to pause there. When you're right with yourself, you're right with the world. When you're right with yourself, as we talk about writing our own story, how many people have lived writing a story that somebody else wants them to write? That's not being an author. That's not being authentic. The key, when you're right with yourself, you are right with the world. And then she concludes this quote by saying, this is why connection theory starts with connection to the self. Dr. Christine Klussman, she's a psychologist, and she's the founder of what's called the Connection Lab, located in San Francisco. And basically, it's basically just a research lab that's trying to help us understand and to strengthen how we can be connected to all of our relationships. But their research has shown it starts with ourselves. If we want to write a good, authentic story, we have to be true authors. It has to start with you and I. How can we expect other people's porches to be clean if our own porch isn't what it should be, if our own porch hasn't been swept? We have to truly live our life to enjoy, to appreciate, to experience gratitude, to experience the good, the bad, the in-between, but to truly be the author of our own life and to write our story, to have the courage to take the pen and to write what we need to write. And that's easier said than done. And we're going to get into that a little bit. There are three main things. If you can see there on the screen, what is self-connection? Dr. Klussman's lab. It's a couple slides. I think it's about I think it's the sixth slide, if we could bring that up.
So, Joe, you only gave me one slide.
Oh, Aiden just reminded I only gave one slide. So, well, my bad on that. So maybe if we just take the slides off and I'll kind of explain it. So if you can envision a slide that kind of looks like the one that showed, we're going to write a little bit different of a story this morning, what I was expecting. But there's three main things. So put on your thinking cap, visualize this with me. Number one on this, if you had a visual in front of you, number one, it would say, The definition of self-connection according to the research of the Connection Lab. Number one is awareness of oneself. All right, think about it. Try to envision it on the screen. Awareness of oneself. Raise your hand if you can envision it on the screen. All right, you can envision it. Envision it. All right, awareness of oneself. That's the first biggest part in this. Well, how do we have awareness of oneself? The research shows that we have to have intention and attention. What do we mean by intention and attention? We have to have an intention that we want to know ourselves. I will put this, I'll label this down, narrow it down to one basic thing. If we want to be connected to ourselves, we have to love ourselves. We have to love ourselves. It's as simple as that. When we care about ourselves, when we want to get to know ourselves, we love ourselves. When we love ourselves, we get to know ourselves. I mean, think about people. When they connect with someone, what do? They ask them, how have you been lately? Tell me about yourself. To love is to know, and to know is to love. So to have awareness of ourselves, the old Greek axiom, know thyself. I think another way of putting that is love thyself. So number one, have awareness of yourself. That can be done through meditation. It can be done through journaling, which I enjoy doing. It can be done, I will call it like a connection walk or a meditative walk where usually in the morning and then again at night. It's a grounding technique. And it's grounding because I try to get to know myself and I literally can feel my feet hit the ground and I connect to nature and I'll go on a walk and I'll say, Joe, what's going on? How are you today? What do you need? How can you best love yourself? I'll ask myself such questions like that. How can you best love yourself today? Or how did you best love yourself today? And how can you best love yourself tomorrow? So number one, the theory states what the research has shown, if we want to be connected to self, is to have awareness of ourself, which means getting to know ourself. The second big thing, if you can envision number two on the screen there, an acceptance of oneself based on that awareness. So try to visualize that on the screen, an acceptance of oneself based on this awareness. All right, if you can kind of visualize that on the screen, raise your hand again. I just want to make sure I still got everybody with me. Hey, there we go. Look at that. Look at that teamwork. Thank you. Thank you, Booth. So an acceptance of yourself. We have to accept this story that we're telling. The good, the not so good, and the in between. Now, it doesn't mean that, that's what we have to go with in the next sentences, in the next chapters. But we have to accept who we are. We have to have that awareness of our values, what we care about, what we treasure, what we want from life. A great question is just, what do you want and what do you need? And then we accept that. We love ourselves. Joe, what do you need? Who are you and what do you need? And that's okay. It's okay to have these different needs. We want to connect with ourselves. We have to know ourselves and have acceptance of that. And then the third thing, an alignment of one's behavior with this awareness. I'll say that again for the booth there. They're working in real time. Alignment of one's behavior, or we'll go with behavior, with this awareness. Alignment of our behavior. In Stoic philosophy, there's this idea that there's where we want to be, and there's where we currently are. And that pain and struggle can live in between. I'll say that again. There's where we want to be, and then there's where we are. And that pain and discomfort, that can be in between. And yes, that pain and discomfort, it can be uncomfortable, but it also can be a good thing as it can call us to action. Now, where we want to be, we have to be fair and honest about that. And that's why we have to to know ourselves. And we have to say, not what is the story that others want me to write, but what is the story that I need to write? Not even what I should write, but what do I need to write? What is healthy? What is good? What is life-giving? What do I need? What are my values? What do I want my values to be? And then how do I live into them? Likewise, as a community, that's why we talk about our values every week, because we want to be reminded of them and we want to strive towards them. We say the word amen at the end of our words of commitment, and that can be taken as a somewhat spiritual word. In its most basic form, it means so be it, meaning let's do it. The alignment of our behavior with our awareness of ourself and acceptance of that. Who do we want to be? Take that time to connect, and then take the time to think about how you can become that person that you need to be. As Maslow once said, what one can be, they must be. What do we need to be? We have to get to know that. Truly connect with ourselves. So for me, the last 2 months we talked about hope. And some of the biggest things of hope is to have goals. And then secondly, to have pathway thinking. And so for me, I like to write out my goals. Joe, this is who you are. This is what you need. Now, how can you help meet your own needs? How many times do we think about one another and we think about the needs of others? And that is really good. But do we often think about ourselves? As Dr. Christine Klussman has said, connection theory starts with self. How can we fill up the glasses, the cups of others, if we're not filling up our own cup? How can we expect to be well connected to others if we don't feel connection with ourselves? I'm curious this morning. When I look out, I don't know what each person has gone through or what they might currently be going through. I don't know how people exactly connect to themselves. And maybe it's in amazing ways. Maybe it's in ways that can improve. Maybe it's in ways that are not so good. Regardless, I want to encourage you to connect to yourself, to take that time, to be intentional, to give that attention to yourself, because you're worth it. Love yourself, know yourself, connect, get to know what your needs are and how to take care of them and bring yourself in alignment with it. So I'm curious this morning, and it turns out I only sent one slide this morning. I didn't realize the file that I sent. And so the questions I had on the slide this morning, and I'll try to simplify it. That way we don't have to have Aiden typing a whole bunch. I'm going to ask that we kind of break up into groups this morning and talk about this subject. Basically, what do you do to connect to yourself? Think about that. What do you do to connect to yourself? And then how does that help you live a better, loving life towards yourself, towards others, and towards everybody at large?
Become a sustaining champion of West Hill United's work by committing to an automatic monthly donation. Learn more or donate now through Canada Helps.